There's another case of deviancy. 5 players with degenerate avatars. They're disrupting the other players with their flagrant deviancies. They're all male, mostly teenagers and some adults. The others reported even more cases, involving inappropriate acts against one another.
You've done enough. Return to the base.
It's not stopping. Have we found ourselves in an inescapable situation, where degeneracy is literally omnipresent? If so, I must expose it to the light. Here is a relation of causality. It is said that one process or event causes an effect, a consequence, an independent variable and a dependent variable. We can apply this logic to the internet as a whole and Roblox. If something is popular in the internet, it consequentially affects Roblox and its players. Whatever happened or popular things that has arisen, it will be reflected on Roblox. If we were to take examples, there are many. In the early days of Roblox, players were inspired by Super Mario 64 bloopers and loved to death the Scadman song. Although the possibility of customizing was very limited, the popularity for both of them was subsequently reflected by countless fan videos on Roblox. And that's not even talking about the Lollywood Hat series and the Epic Face, which were also popular old memes turned into hats by Roblox. Another example that can be empirically verified are the trending stuff and popular characters, including even the ones that are NSFW for the both of them. How many have you seen some players wear something to show their love towards a certain thing or character on Roblox? My guess is it would have been very often. Digital Circus is our newest example for this. But sometimes popular memes can be inappropriate, which can lead to teenagers and adults dressing themselves as characters from porn parodies. The other ones are political issues. Because of the rapidity on which information flows around, events around the world can be seen with high commodity. Of course, it leads often to controversy. But where am I going with all of this? Well, here is my thesis. The more degenerate the internet has become, the more Roblox as a platform and its players have been influenced by degeneracy. But even then, this degeneracy has been growing on deep within Roblox. It seems the internet has jump-started it all. Odors, which were ridiculed, have now been replaced with everyday players. Players that frequently engage in acts of deviancies. Whether it is indirect through the uses of nasty avatars, or direct with words and inappropriate decals. I have collected a great deal of screenshots from various games. I will not showcase everything for your sake, but I will show you the worst ones. Starting with Rate My Avatar. Rate My Avatar is not your ordinary hangout game. It is a watered-down version of the website known as 4chan. But that statement alone should spark concerns within you. I sometimes call it an echo chamber, because of the inability of players to realize of their wrongdoings. There are moderators to keep the players in check, but it is not enough. And let's not talk about the dubious past of the game's creator, a subject for another discussion. But first, how does this hangout game work? Number 1, there are bots to claim on which you can write anything and put any decals. They can be used to stimulate interactions with one another. However, some abuse it to post nasty stuff. And with the right bypass tools, they can be as creative as their imagination allows them to. Number 2, literally written on the game's name, you can rate other people's avatar. Unfortunately, this backfired, as this place is a nest for those with degenerate avatars. It is quite literally the perfect place to seek attention from others. And yes, children and young teenagers play this game, so you can imagine their reactions upon getting flashed. Number 3, there are signs that you can use if you bought a gamopus for further expression. That also is abused in order to get reactions out of others. One simple premise, 3 ways to socialize. Yet, this place has managed to become one of the most toxic games on the platform. Degeneracy is glorified. Hate is glorified. Frequent arguments with one another and more. And remember of the relation of causality I spoke about at the start? For a reminder, here's my thesis. The more the internet is influenced by degeneracy, the more it will be reflected on Roblox. This theory applies especially to this game. I see no hope for this place. And I can think of a game similar to this one, named Boot Game. I took the time to interview many players about the state of this game. Many refused to engage, as they were the one directly contributing to this game's toxicity. But for those who agreed, they all unanimous upon many things. Lots of obtrusive avatars, inadequate attention seeking, degeneracy under many forms, inappropriate trolls, the list goes on. Fun fact, some players not only randomly give abysmal rating to players, but also rate negatively those with good avatars. They also tend to downrate someone in order to boost their rating and become the highest rated player in the server. It's like a form of jealousy. It is crucial to expand our list, as degeneracy on Roblox isn't just concentrated to some games. Now, we must move on from this place. We have truly fallen in dark times. I don't know how to explain this without shattering the innocence of you, the viewers. It's pretty nasty. It's a pretend gangbang. It seems in some places, perversion has ruled over reason, over rationality. This one is not the only place like this. Booth game similar to Rate My Avatar in its function as a hangout game. What distinguishes the game, however, are the many tools available for expressions. You can acquire gears with your time spent in the game. There are also emotes free to use whenever you want. You can have customized booth, making sure that no booth is truly the same. It does suffer the same problems as Rate My Avatar. However, the moderation for this game is stronger here, keeping the degenerates in check. But the moderation team is also filled with furries. Depending on you, this can be either a good thing or a bad thing. Here's my take on it. They are biased, so don't you dare make a joke about them, lest you get banned. Even if this game isn't as bad as Rate My Avatar, do not forget. A pretend gang also happened here, so stay on guard. The relation of causality applies there as well. I've exhausted this game. It's time to move on to another game, one that houses a lot of hormonal teenagers, one which I had difficulty gathering footage for. Write a letter. Write a letter is like Discord. The level of anonymity lets users do what they want, but it also brings out the worst out of people, especially adults and those in the stages of adolescence. What happens if you mix anonymity, cozy atmosphere and internet decadence? You get a place that reeks of lust. The problem about this game isn't the adults. Rather, it's the young adults and teenagers, mostly boys who perform inappropriate acts against one another, so that they can feel like grown-ups. I've been monitoring this game for quite a while, hence the amount of evidence I currently possess. But the biggest mystery that I've yet to decipher is how did such a game allow for degenerates to bloom? But before we do that, we must speak of what the game is. Write a Letter is a hangout game. It is quite different from the other two games, as there are no booths. Rather, this game has a series of places and secret places where people can go and stimulate interaction with one another. The game's gimmick, as you can guess in the title, is the ability to write letters. People can write letters and do various things with them. Players can show their letters directly to someone, stick them to walls or simply drop them for anyone that comes by to read it. If I were to describe my sightings in 2 words, it would be poor diction. 60% of the letters that are being written are safe, albeit weird since they are still affected by internet degeneracy. But the 40% rest of those letters are filled with nasty stuff. And these letters reflect the type of persons behind these. Most of these players don't engage in this mechanic. They may choose to interact with each other, appropriately or inappropriately. They tend to act more inappropriately. Now on to the players. It is quite a disturbing sight. Degeneracy is the norm in this place, to the avatars referencing countless not safe for work materials up to how players interact with each other. Precisely, there is an epidemic of femboys and inappropriate furries. They are mainly hormonal teenagers, oftentimes doing inappropriate shit. Worst of all, this stuff happens casually wherever you go. You don't even need to actively seek out these things. For such sexual deviancies to be happening from left to right frequently, it was the reason I started monitoring this place. There's a thing that's been bothering me during my research. It's going to be relevant, but will deviate a bit from the subject. It's about the involvement of the owner called Hashiru. I know who this one is, and I've known him for years. He was primarily known for making RPGs games in the early days of Roblox. His Gloradial RPG series made him somewhat popular. He made another game called Fighters, which got featured by the Roblox channel. I played all of these games. They were genuinely good for their respective time frames, in a time where Roblox games weren't very great. So for him to deviate from what he used to make, to ultimately end up making a place that allows rampant deviant behavior to flower, is very surprising. I am fully aware that it was not Hashiru's intention to do so. What's currently happening in Write-to-Letter is an unforeseen consequence. But usually, there are ways to limit such behaviors. Which leads to my next point. Is the moderation team doing their job? And is Hashiru avoiding the problem? Moderation is key in controlling what happens around, such as the frequency of deviancies. According to a video that was shared to me coincidentally during my research, the moderation is not strong. The moderation team, or more specifically Mintlin, head moderator and the second owner of the game, has stated that the letters are the only things that are being moderated. As for the players, accompanied with the many screenshots I've shown, it's Roblox's problem, not theirs. Contradiction. The video on which I got the information came out 2 months ago. Yet, I've been monitoring this game for more than 2 months. Each time you join the game, you get a pop-up that explicitly says that inappropriate letters or behavior are not tolerated. There is a contradiction between what the head moderator says and what the game explicitly tells you. The pop-up has been there for more than 2 months already. It never changed and stayed the same for the past months. If what they say is true, I can't say they are doing a good job at it. The letters aren't properly moderated. You can join the game at 10 a time and casually look for one that's NSFW. As for player activity, the moderator's way of thinking explains the weakness of the moderation. Since Mintlin and Hashiru are somewhat closely associated, it is safe to deduce that they both know what's going on in the game. They both share information after all. The probability for Hashiru to ignore the issue in his game is high, but never 100%. The internet can corrupt people in ways that are unpredictable and predictable at the same time. The deviant players, they stick close to their social spaces on the internet, like echo chambers. These individuals have been strongly influenced by the sexual stuff that's been circulated in the online space. And now, if we apply the correlation, you can see with your own eyes that these players are expressing openly what they've internalized within themselves. Remember, all of them are real people. They've been taken care of by their parents. They do not spawn out of nowhere like in video games. If you put yourself in the place of the mother or father, you can imagine or attempt to rationalize how sad it is. Some of them are genuinely ruining their lives, while others do it to ignite conflict and dissociate themselves from their actions. Such is the age of the internet. Unfortunate. Any good that could be plucked out from this game have been stained by this overwhelming lustfulness. How unfortunate that such a phenomenon is happening not only in this game, but mostly everywhere on Roblox. I am not the only one who sees this pestilence. There are others. YouTubers and players that have uncovered Roblox for what it truly is, and of what it became to be. Places like Vibe Games, or Public Bathroom Simulator. I've visited them to see the extent of this phenomenon. This worries me. The youth indulges themselves in depravities more than before. These depravities will haunt some of them until death. It is as they live in a different world, one without virtue, dignity or self-restraint. And now, recent findings have shown that the problem has degenerated further than before, with antagonist rings that seek to force themselves onto the youth. What used to be a warm space, has now turned into a hostile environment for the soul. Degeneracy has increased so drastically, that you can risk being exposed to something undesirable. Children especially, put themselves at risk of danger, just by surfing the internet. And unfortunately, Roblox as well. Things aren't the way they used to be. Roblox, or precisely the company, has been slowly disconnected from its game and community. Moderation is neglected because of that. This, coupled with internet degeneracy, have produced terrible consequences to the platform's online space, and in turn, to one's safety. Be good, and stray away from these sinful activities. Stay together as a unit far away from it, and do not follow the masses, the everyday player, for you will be led into an undesired place. You can make change with the information I gave, just like those that came before me. I've met some of my viewers during my monitoring process. They were, to my surprise, quite content upon meeting me, despite my very low presence in the Roblox space and in YouTube in general. This can only mean one thing: my work is recognized, appreciated and valuable. As long as there are players and viewers like you, who are capable of analyzing objective facts and care enough to make a change about it, gradually, but surely, things will go well.